Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more slug testing, and today we've got a combo that's been highly requested that we try out, especially since the last time we tried these slugs. We got some rather interesting results from them, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what we can get because it has the potential to give us some really nice looking results. But for the shells I brought out here today, I got out some more of the Remington Slugger High Velocity loads, but these ones are the 20 gauge 2 3/4 inch half ounce slug moving about 1800 feet per second. We tried these a little bit ago on the channel with some very interesting results. They looked fantastic at 50, but got a little squirrely out there towards 100. So maybe today's shotgun and choke combo might be the key for these. It definitely has some nice potential since we know there's some good accuracy in these from our last test, but we'll see how it actually performs. But as for the combo we're going to run them through, I brought out my Stevens 301 20 gauge. It's got a 26 inch smoothbore barrel on it. But for the choke, we've got a Carlson's rifle choke in here. A lot of you guys have wanted to see us run some slugs through some rifle chokes to see what happens. So here we go. A lot of you guys requested to see this particular combination as well, so we'll see how it does. As far as specs go, for the people curious, Carlson says this rifle choke is a 1 in 35 twist rate, and the raised grooves of the rifling make it to where it's a 620 constriction as far as the tightest inside diameter goes. So not overly tight to where it's actually choking anything down, but it does have raised rifling on the inside. Up on top here, we've got a Nikon Inline XR 3 to 9x40. Yes, it's technically a muzzleloader scope, but it's done us very well on this particular 20 gauge. So we've definitely got a pretty nice little slug combo here if it actually performs well with these high velocity sluggers. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. We're going to shoot two groups, one at 50 and another at 100, each being 3 shots, and all of them will be through the chronograph. It is not a perfect test by any means, but I'm working with the shells I have, which is literally, I think I might have 7 of these left. So it's not perfect, but it will at least give us somewhat of an idea on if this is a decent combo at all. And hopefully we can keep them on the paper at 100 yards since they got a little bit funny last time we tested them out there at that longer range, and we can actually get a good group measurement. But enough talking, let's get you guys a view of those targets, take our shots, and just see what we get. And if this rifle choke actually improves their longer range accuracy or not. Alright, so let's go through here and take a look at our velocities real quick before we look at our target. The boss claim is 1800. We do have a 26 inch barrel with a little bit of choke sticking out of the end. And I actually think either the little bit extra length of choke out of the end of the barrel or potentially the little bit of rifling we have increased our velocities just a little bit over what we saw with a flush improved cylinder choke the last time we tested them. But for a high, we had 1817. For a low, we had 1751. That gave us an average at 1792. So it's about, I don't know, 10, 15 feet per second faster than with a flush choke, it would seem. And we had an extreme spread of 66 with a standard deviation of 21. So 1792, that's only 8 feet per second under the box claim. So that probably means they tested it through a 28 inch at the factory. But here are your energy numbers on screen so you can see what we're actually moving with a half ounce slug at 1792 feet per second. That's still plenty good enough to take a deer with it all day long. But let's head over to our target and see how accurate they actually were, because I think we saw some rather interesting results yet again. Alright, so let's take a peek here at our target because things got rather interesting. And surprising or not, it's rather similar to what we saw the last time we ran these through just a flush improved cylinder choke. We'll start on the left with our 50-yard group, which was these 3 shots right up here at the top. And although this is not a bad group by any means, that is a little more open than what we saw with an improved cylinder. Previously, we had 2 in the same hole and 1 touching the other 2. So a little touch more open at 50, but we'll measure it and see. And indeed, we did open it up a little bit from our improved cylinder choke test to a 1.64 inch group. I believe previously we had a 1 inch group at 50. Still, this is more than usable enough, but that rifle choke did not improve our accuracy any with these. And that trend continued out to 100 yards. And that's where things got interesting. So from our previous test, as well as after seeing that 50-yard group, I know these particular high velocity sluggers shoot high out of that shotgun, especially at 100 yards. So I aimed for this bottom dot right here. That way, hopefully we would group them up here on the top half of this target instead of being up off the top. Our first shot was way over here to the left, and then we had these two. There's one half on the edge right up here and another half on the edge right over here. And unfortunately, I'm out of these slugs. Either way we put it, even if we group that other one up here, this is still not anything super impressive, and it is way up high and out of the way. I aimed all the way down here so you can see how much of a difference there is. Typically, with a lot of slug guns and stuff, I sight them in a little high like this at 50, and we're putting them pretty well dead center at 100. And that's the same thing I see out of this 301 with the normal Herders or Winchester rifled slugs, but for whatever reason, these Remington high velocity sluggers just shoot way high. And that is just not at all what we want to see. Could that one down here been a flyer? I don't know, maybe. I mean, these targets right here are 12 inches across, so that's easily about a 12-inch spread right there, without a doubt. The two up at the very top are just over 4 inches apart, these two right up here. So ultimately, that rifle choke did not really improve our accuracy at all. That's very similar to what we saw from the improved cylinder. I believe with that choke, we had a 7-inch spread at 100 yards. So I was kind of expecting a little bit better here. And I'm sure people are going to comment that we need to retest this or whatever because we barely kept them on the paper and I didn't shoot enough shots or enough groups or this, that, or the other. But I can tell you from previous experience with these shells, for whatever reason, they group pretty well at 50, but out at 100 is a little bit different story. And this rifle choke did not help us out any here. I really thought it might have the potential to tune in that 100-yard group, and that is not at all what we got. So a little bit unfortunate, but that's why we test things to see what we get. At 50, it's more than good enough for a deer hunt, but I wouldn't push it much farther than that, I don't think. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about those results right there? I would say it's a little bit disappointing. Yeah, it's not bad at 50 yards. That's perfectly decent enough. Those slugs did perform better through just a regular old flush improved cylinder choke the last time we tested them at 50. So there is that. But out at 100, pretty well the same story. Just kind of a little bit all over the place. And like I've mentioned before, I have a theory that some shotgun slugs, right when they hit that transonic barrier and go from super to subsonic, somewhere about the 75-yard range or so, they start to get a little squirrely, and maybe that's what's going on here. I don't really have a good way to prove that yet, but just a thought of mine, I guess. I was definitely hoping to see some improvement with that rifle choke, but even at 50 yards, we did not see any improvement at all. So with these particular high velocity sluggers, I'm saying they're nothing super special. If you want to use them, 50 to 60 yards is perfectly fine. Other than that, from my experience and from that shotgun, the Herders or the Winchester Super X slugs, which are pretty well the exact same shell, are the way to go. They are tremendously better than that. I mean, we were seeing like a 2-inch group at 100 yards with those slugs. So the trend kind of continues, I guess. Some of Remington's little more quote-unquote specialty slugs, if you will, managed recoil or the high velocity, lighter weight slugs or anything like that, tend to be a little finicky. Sometimes they're okay, other times they're a little bit all over the place, and I think that's probably what we're seeing here with these slugs. Good to 50, but not much more. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is it about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 20 gauge high velocity sluggers, and if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is this a combination you would hunt with? Would you keep it at 50 yards, or would you prefer to see it a little more consistent and groups tighten down better than that? And what other slugs do you want to see us run, whether it be from this 20 gauge through that rifle choke or in 12 gauge through a different combination or whatever the case would be? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.